With the release of their most recent album, 21 Pilots put out a total of 14 music videos to accompany Clancy. Now, this is somewhat unprecedented, both for the band and for music release in general. Outputting that many music videos is certainly a great feat. Typically, when 21 Pilots releases an album, they will only put out 6 music videos, with Scaled and Icy being the exception to that. Since it was a much shorter album, it only had 4 music videos released. But with this many music videos being released recently, including 2 more, one for The Line and another one for Doubt, or the demo of Doubt, which I'm not actually counting as an official music video release for the purposes of this video. But with all those different music videos being released recently and then over the history of 21 Pilots, I thought it would be fun to go through and do a polling competition for their music videos specifically. The results are in for that competition, and those results are gone over in a different video. But in this video, I thought it would be fun to go through and rank all of these music videos according to my own personal preference, as I've done in the past with some of their other songs to accompany some of the other polling competitions which we have done previously. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's go through, and I'm going to rank these from Vessel all the way up until The Line, which is the most recent one. Again, not counting the music video for the demo of Doubt, because that's more of an unofficial music video release since it isn't officially a new song or anything like that. Now, I'm not going through these music videos in chronological order, technically speaking, because I know that these music videos were not released in the order that they appear on the album. Ode to Sleep may have been the first music video released. My memory doesn't actually serve me on that. But I know, for instance, if we're looking at something like Blurryface, Heavy Dirty Soul was not the first music video which was released for that album. In fact, if I remember correctly, Heavy Dirty Soul was actually the last music video which was released on that album. But regardless, let's start with the first album, Vessel, and the first music video we have here, Ode to Sleep. I think I will start out with this one as a B. And the reason for that mainly being that while it works well for what it is as an introduction to 21 Pilots, I think they could have done something cooler to accompany that song, because Ode to Sleep is a very cool song in a lot of ways. And it also isn't a music video which I return to all that much. Nowadays, I think in some ways you could say it's dated, because it served its purpose, like I said, for that point in time, right after they were signed to a new label, and as they were getting ready to put out Vessel, unless they had already put out Vessel at that point. Again, I don't remember exactly what dates this release was, but it's never been one of my favorite music videos, although Ode to Sleep is one of my favorite songs by the band. But next up, we have Holding On To You. This is above Ode to Sleep, for sure. The production value on it is a lot higher. It is a cool music video, but it doesn't really feel like the most 21 Pilots style music video. And I think they've even mentioned, perhaps on the Vessel Variety stream, which they did a couple of years ago, that this music video was one of the earliest ones they did after being signed to a new label, and they weren't entirely sure how much creative control they were going to have over the process here and the direction of a music video like this. And so they weren't totally happy with what they ended up doing with this music video, and it's always struck me as a little out of place among their visual media. Now, that's not to say it's a bad music video, but it's never been one of my favorites, and frankly, Holding On To You has never been one of my favorite songs either, so that keeps it lower. And, ultimately, this may move down to a C tier as we go along. Next up, House of Gold. For now, just with everything else we have on the tiers, this one will be an A tier. I very much foresee that will be moved down to B as we go through, but I actually don't like this song or this music video as much as some other people seem to. I think it's creative, I think it's cool. It kind of represents what 21 Pilots were doing with their music and their visuals in the Vessel era. It's a little odd, a little strange, but very much them. And I don't know, it has some pretty cool imagery in it. And it's shot on a cool location. I always liked it. It fits the song very well, right? It's kind of a simple, minimalistic music video, if you will, which fits the song House of Gold very well also. So I always liked that one. Car Radio. Well, for now, this definitely has to be in the S tier. Maybe later on that'll get moved down to A, but perhaps not. This is arguably one of 21 Pilots' most iconic music videos, and certainly the most iconic from the Vessel era. Yes, Holding On To You does get referenced a lot, and yes, there are a lot of screen grabs from that music video, but Car Radio was kind of the song that a lot of people were aware of going into the Blurryface era, even if they weren't big fans of 21 Pilots, because that music video is so well done, and it's so cool, and it's a great song, so that helps. But even just judging it on the music video itself, this is definitely the best one that we have from the Vessel era. All right, only 2 more from Vessel. Guns for Hands, which I will put in the A tier as well, but likely will move down to the B tier. It's an even more minimalistic music video than House of Gold, but I think it's very good. I actually don't like it as much as House of Gold, perhaps because it is a little too minimalistic, although that never really was a problem for me. I don't know if I can entirely pinpoint why I don't like this one as much as I like the music video for House of Gold, but they are close. They are very, very close in quality, in my mind. And then Truce. I think this will be, top of B tier. This one's grown on me a lot. I think back in the day, when we didn't have as many music videos and we didn't know as much about the story and so on, Truce was one which I always didn't like as much because it seemed more uneventful, not as much happens. It kind of just goes between him playing the piano in the middle of the road to concert footage and stuff like that. But knowing what we do now about the importance of roads, and given what this song seems to be about, I think it's actually really cool the way they filmed this. And also, retrospectively, it's somewhat surprising that Truce got a music video. I think, if I'm remembering this correctly, with the exception of Clancy, where they did a music video for every single song, the final track on an album doesn't usually get a music video. There's no official music video for Goner, and there's no official music video for Leave the City or Redecorate. There is for Pilot and Stray, but again, that's somewhat of an exception because there was a music video for every song on that album anyway. So it is cool to see a music video for the final track on the album, particularly because this song works very well as a final track. It isn't sort of a more poppy hit kind of song. It is a closing track for an album. So that's cool that they did that. All right, moving on, we have Heavy Dirty Soul. For now, this is definitely going to go in the S tier. Slightly behind Car Radio, but not much. And yeah, I think this is a music video which unofficially launched us into the Trench era and really the story of Dima as a whole. We didn't quite understand that at the time that it came out, obviously, because if I'm remembering this correctly, it was the beginning of 2017, I think, when this music video came out. And then everything for Trench came out in 2018, starting kind of spring and summer into the fall when they released the album in October. So we didn't understand really anything about how this tied in. And honestly, we didn't fully understand how this ties into the story until the I Am Clancy video. We kind of guessed at it and certain things made sense, right? We saw the car, which we then see in Jumpsuit. And we saw this weird figure who we kind of slowly connected to being one of the bishops. But none of that, we didn't have any context for that when this music video originally came out. And even when we had Jumpsuit, we saw that link in the music video, but I think it took longer than it should have for a lot of those connections to be made. And then, of course, like I said, we got the full clarity on what was really going on with the I'm Clancy video. But even regardless, story aside, this is a very cool music video. It's very well done. It's a great song, so I'm very glad they did a music video for it. Obviously, we know more about how the car is important and significant and all of that. So yeah, overall great music video. S tier, might move down slightly, but right now it's pretty close alongside Car Radio. Stressed Out. I'm not going to put this in S tier, but I will put this at the top of the A tier. Car Radio was arguably the most iconic music video from 21 Pilots from the Vessel era. Stressed Out is arguably the most iconic music video by 21 Pilots of all time, because that's their biggest song. I assume it's the one that most people associate with 21 Pilots. Why is it not in S tier then? Well, I think it fits the song very well. I think it is a great music video, but it's not my favorite. And Stressed Out is not my favorite song. And I think also, arguably, if you leave aside the status of an iconic music video for a second, Car Radio is better than Stressed Out in many ways. Now, Stressed Out, the music video, is very good. That's why it's the top of the A tier. But it's not quite S tier. It doesn't quite make it up into that next tier. Ride. I'm going to put this at the bottom of the B, honestly. It's cool, it's good, it's fine. I really like the song, but the music video, I don't know. I was never really a big fan of the overexposed, underexposed switches. It's a bit too, I don't know. It's a bit too extreme, perhaps, or not even that. It didn't work as well as I wanted it to. And then something which they did with a lot of the music videos throughout the Blurryface era, and when I say a lot, I mean two, Ride and Lame Boy. But they switched between them playing or performing in one place and then going to concert footage in the other, and that is fine, but there is so much concert footage, and they release so many videos of concert footage that whenever they put that in a music video, I always feel like lazy isn't the right word. It isn't exactly lazy, but it's more that I wish we could have gotten something more, because we already have a lot of concert footage, and that's pretty easy to find. Sure, they use it quite well, and I think the best example of them using concert footage in a music video very well is this most recent one that we have for the demo of Doubt. That's entirely concert footage, and it works very well. They did a similar thing with their cover of Jar of Hearts. They know how to use concert footage well in a music video, but it's never going to be my favorite music video when they do that. All right, next up, Fairly Local. I'm going to put this right above Stressed Out. I think a couple years ago, I might have had those flipped, but now, as we learn more about the story and we get more imagery about the story of Trench and Dima, Fairly Local is a song and a music video which I keep returning to time and time again. So I think it's important, it's interesting, it's a very well done music video. It may be my favorite music video from the Blurryface era, besides Heavy Dirty Soul. So Fairly Local's, yeah, it's great. It's a really good music video. I don't know why people don't like the song as much. Maybe it's a bit overplayed at this point. I don't know. I wish they played it in concert as well, more than they do. Tear in My Heart. I'm just instantly going to put this in a D. I don't know. It's not a bad music video in and of itself, but it's definitely one of my least favorite music videos by 21 Pilots. I've mentioned before in other videos and other rankings that Tear in My Heart has never been one of my favorite songs by the band, and I don't think it ever will be. I've never understood why they used that extreme letterboxing in the music video, where the black bars at the top and the bottom of the screen are really close together, and it's just really long, wide image. It's never been an aesthetic which I can really get behind. So, not a fan. Not really a fan. Certainly in comparison to everything else which they put out. And then we have Lane Boy. I get why they're in a lane, given the song, but that's kind of all they do. I do think the imagery of the, I guess, hazmat guys in the white suits with blanking on the letters that are written on them. It might be like fame and money or something like that. I think that imagery is really cool. I wish we saw that explored more. There certainly is a good number of imagery which we see during the Blurryface era, which we then don't really see continued again throughout the rest of them. And I understand that obviously with the release of Trench and all of that story and all of that imagery, that took precedent. That took first place. That took priority. But things like the guys in the white hazmat suits, there's got to be some way they fit into or could be tied into the Dima story. And perhaps they still will, right? As we learn more, as we get more of those Bandito letters, perhaps we will see them incorporated in some way. But for now, it's cool imagery that I wish they would capitalize on more. Not my favorite music video. It's good, it's fun, but I think this is fine for now, and I might even move it down a bit more as we go on. All right, Heathens. I'll put that in a low A. I think that's fair. You know, it's a single. It wasn't on any of the albums. It fits in with, it has imagery from the Suicide Squad. As I mentioned before, there's only 2 songs which the band has written for movies or shows specifically. Obviously, their music has been featured in different shows in the past, but they wrote Heathens and they wrote The Line as singles for Suicide Squad and the Arcane show. And I think, as we'll see later, Heathens works much better as one of these music videos for one of these singles than The Line does. And I'll get more into that later when we come to The Line, but I think what they did do with Heathens to tie themselves into that world of Suicide Squad worked really well. They didn't really do that with The Line. So I think it's a good music video. It's never been one of my favorites, but it's cool. And it's well produced, and it fits the song quite well. And now we are in the Trench Era with the music video Jumpsuit. While I don't know that much discussion needs to go into this one, it obviously is an S tier music video. Where exactly on the S tier it will go ultimately, I'm not entirely sure. For now, I will put it in first place overall. But these 3 are all up there for a reason. Obviously, Jumpsuit is the music video which introduced us officially to the world of Trench, and by extension, to the world of Dima. Although, really, Nico and the Niners was the music video to introduce us to the city of Dima, but that's for later. But just like Heavy Dirty Soul unofficially introduced us to the story, into this world, Jumpsuit brought us into it in fullness, introduced us to the Banditos, to the Bishops, to the world of Trench, to Clancy as well. We didn't really fully realize that at the time, but Clancy and his story started there in many ways. And it's a wonderfully made music video. It's shot on location in, I believe, Iceland. The acting in it is wonderful. The cinematography is wonderful. It's an amazing song by the band. There isn't much more that needs to be said. Levitate continued the Trench trilogy, or actually I think was the final video of the Trench trilogy, right? Yes, excuse me. I'm gonna put this mid-A. I think around here. It's my least favorite of the videos from the Trench trilogy, but obviously that trilogy as a whole is amazing and very well done. So even though it's the worst one of the 3, it's very good. Just not as much happens in terms of story there as I would have liked. But it fits the song very well, and kind of shows us more about the Bandito camp, which is good. As I mentioned a moment ago, we have Jumpsuit showing us the world of Trench. We have Nico and the Niners showing us the city of Dima and the rituals inside that city, and Levitate shows us the Banditos and their camps. So that's kind of the 3 parts there of the trilogy, each showing us 3 key parts of the world of Trench and the story. Next up, we have My Blood, and this is pretty universally acknowledged to be an amazing music video and a great song, and I agree. It's not my favorite. I've never really been a huge fan of music videos which have a story playing throughout them that isn't really like showing the singers singing or the band playing their music. It doesn't feel quite as much like a music video. It feels like a short film with a song playing to accompany it. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And it certainly is a very well done short film and has a really cool and great story. But as a music video, it's never been one of my favorites, even though the song's quite good and the video itself is well done. There are other music videos which I like better for other reasons and other criteria which this music video doesn't meet. So I will put that in a low A for now. Probably will get bumped down to a B. In fact, I'm going to bump it down to a B right now because I was looking at this and I don't like it as much as I like Truce. And that's where Truce is. So there you go. Chlorine. Maybe there. I like the song well enough, but I've never been a fan of this music video. Ever since it came out, and I was just confused, and then we learned more about Ned, and then obviously with The Outside, we kind of saw more of the extension of who he is, his character, how that's important to the story, and so on, and that's great. But I never really understood Ned as a character. Never really got it. Never really got the hype, the purpose. I'm probably missing something, but right now he kind of exists, and I wouldn't mind that much if he didn't. And I don't really understand how he fits into these worlds, because he's in Chlorine and he's in the hype. He's kind of the main character of Chlorine, and he's a passing reference in the hype. And then he also appears in the Level of Concern Live from Outside performance, which they did, I think, with Jimmy Fallon back in 2020. And then, he reappears in The Outside alongside a bunch of other Neds on the island of Voltsoy. So he's in the world of Trench and Dima, and he's in our own world. Yeah, it's definitely not where I thought they would go with this music video. And it's a little weird. Never been my favorite, but it's fine. Good song, well-made music video. I think that's fair. Bottom of the B. Maybe jump it down into C soon. The hype I actually like better than Chlorine. Not as a song, but as a music video, definitely. I think it's very cool. It's very well done. Has some great imagery in there. Yeah, I think that's fine. With Trench, there's kind of two trilogies. There's the Trench trilogy and the unofficial 3 other music videos, which don't really tie together, but all exist not in Trench. My Blood, The Hype, and Chlorine. My Blood is arguably the best of those. Chlorine is, in my opinion, the worst, but The Hype isn't a ton better. It kind of, in many ways, seemed like they needed a music video for that song because they wanted to release it as a single, as a radio single or whatever. So we got that music video, and it was fine, but not one of my favorites. Nico and the Niners. Well, this is one of my favorites by 21 Pilots of all time, and I'm going to put it just behind Jumpsuit for now. But like I said, Jumpsuit introduced us to Trench, Nico and the Niners introduced us to Dima. And arguably, the music video for Nico and the Niners is more important and has remained more important to the story for a longer period of time. Jumpsuit does a lot of work to introduce us to the story. But Nico and the Niners takes the story somewhere. And it introduces us to the city of Dima and what is really at the heart of this story, which is the religion or cult of vialism. And their practices, the assembly of the glorious gone, we assume, is what is depicted in there. And, even if it is the blurriest, slightest glimpse at what the bishops do in this practice of vialism, we see it. And so, yes, we do get a good story and a cool cinematic narrative in Jumpsuit. But we get a lot of important information conveyed also very well in a cool cinematic story in Nico and the Niners. So arguably, this is a better and more important music video than Jumpsuit. So I'm going to put it there at the top of the S tier, best music video overall. That may change. Everything may change as we go through. But I think that is very justifiable positioning for this music video. Next up, Level of Concern. I think this is our first C. It's better than Tear My Heart. It's going to be better than some other videos, which we will put in C and then later in D. But it's a very dated music video. It's a good song, but also kind of a dated song. Good music video, fun. It's nice to see kind of an update, get an update on their families at that point in time. But it's very dated. Obviously, their kids are much older now and so on, and it's just a different period in time and life than it was when that video came out, which doesn't do anything to take away from the quality of that video. It just means over time, it's fallen down in rank. I think if I was doing this in 2020, and that was the most recent music video which we had gotten from the band, I think I would be putting it higher up on the list. Maybe mid-A even. But nowadays, I think top of C, maybe high C ultimately, is fair. Christmas Saves the Year. I'm not sure which of these I like less. I really like the song Christmas Saves the Year, and it's miles better than Tear My Heart. But the music video is odd. It kind of fits 21 Pilots, but also kind of felt like someone who didn't really know 21 Pilots a ton, like super well, wasn't the biggest fan, hadn't listened to all their music for years, was like, how can I make a Christmas video in claymation in the style of 21 Pilots with like some of their themes and imagery? And it's a good claymation. It is well made, but it's just kind of weird. And for a song which is so nice and so well done to fit the Christmas season while still being a modern day Christmas song that actually works as a Christmas song, like they succeeded in that very well. But the music video doesn't quite match that as well. It doesn't quite fit the song as well. It doesn't quite fit the spirit and season of Christmas as well as this song does. So I was more disappointed in this music video, arguably, because I already wasn't a big fan of Tear My Heart, but I was a big fan of Christmas Saves the Year, and then the music video didn't really live up to my expectations. All right, Shy Away. I think low B, bottom of the B maybe. Yeah, bottom of the B. You know what? I might as well just put it in a high C. I don't. Yeah, it certainly has a special place in mine and many other people's hearts as the introduction to the Scaled on Icy era. Really, any music video which introduces us to a new era is going to be remembered for that in some small sense, at least. And Shy Away is not an exception to that. It's not my favorite song by the band. It's one of my favorite songs off of Scaled on Icy, but not my favorite song by the band. And the music video, it just isn't an aesthetic and a look and a vibe, if you will, that I really get behind as much. It's a little weird where it takes place. Like, I'm pretty sure they filmed it all on sound stages. But in terms of where it's supposed to be taking place, especially when he's going to, like, the call box, that was never expanded upon, never explained. It seemed like it was going to be setting up a continuation of the story that never really went anywhere. And certainly the next music video, Choker, that did not expand on it at all. That seemed completely disconnected. Choker is a fine song, one of my least favorite music videos by the band. So, top D. That was fast. All right, Saturday. Not a huge fan of the song. Does have a good story. I'm always going to be somewhat partial towards the music videos which have more lore and continue that story some more. Give us more information at the very least. So I think here. Yeah. I think that's a fair placement. And while we're at it, since B is getting very heavy, I'm just going to move these all down to C. Kind of balance things out a bit more. All right. The Outside. This may surprise some people, but I am not the biggest fan of the music video for The Outside. And it's not because it's a bad video, but I've never been a fan. In fact, I automatically almost dislike a music video if it breaks up the song which is supposed to be accompanying it, or which the video is supposed to be for, right? The Outside is the music video for the song The Outside. And it breaks up that song into like multiple chunks, right? Because the music video is 6 minutes or something, and The Outside is 4 minutes. So it has these weird breaks where the song stops playing and the sound of the video comes in, and it never works for me. So I didn't like that they did that for The Outside. Is it a cool 6-minute short film that tells us more about, the power of seizing, and I guess introduces us to even more Neds, and kind of tells us something about the Torchbearer, and sets up, leaves a cliffhanger for what's coming next with Clancy. Yeah. It does all of that, but it doesn't fit the song The Outside. I think, honestly, if they had done the same video with a different song, perhaps No Chances or Redecorate or something, that would have worked a lot better. Yes, it wouldn't have been the same right length, but The Outside doesn't work with this video because of the length alone. I just don't think the song in the video worked terribly well. Saturday, it did work with that video quite well. They actually did a good job with that. The Outside, not so much. And I think too, if they were still going to use a song which was on the shorter side anyway, because they didn't have that many longer songs on Scaled and Icy, they could have had those pauses or those gaps where the song wasn't playing just confined to the beginning and the end, and let the song play throughout the rest of the time. But no. So with all that said, where should I rank The Outside? I think I'll have to put it below Saturday. I really like the story of the video of The Outside much more than Saturday, but as a music video, it's below Saturday. All right, we're nearing the end here, sort of. We're into the 14 music videos off of Clancy. Overcompensate. Obviously going to be near the top. I think that's fair. And perhaps over time, if I do this again in a year or two, Overcompensate will beat out Fairly Local. But for now, I think this is a decent placement. Next Semester. Great music video. It does a lot of work to introduce us to, explain more about what the imagery of the car has been in these roads and so on. And just as a music video, like I was mentioning, I'm not always a huge fan of the concert footage, but this wasn't really concert footage in terms of it wasn't previously recorded footage at one of their shows that they then kind of spliced into the music video. This was intentionally recorded to be a cinematic filming of a fake performance, essentially, right? It wasn't a real show that people could buy tickets to. And just the look and the aesthetic of this music video work very well. It is one of the best music videos off of Clancy. Not the best. I think ranking it behind Stressed Out and Levitate is fair. I don't think it beats out Overcompensate or Paladin Straight, as we'll see later. Spoilers. But it is one of the best off of that album. Backslide. I'm going to put that here. I like it better than Holding On To You. I do. Obviously it's fun that Josh directed it. I think he did a good job. And I think it depicts the kind of story of cycles very well. And it's fun, a little quirky, I guess. Has those little Easter eggs and stuff throughout it. But not my favorite music video. Not a ton happens in it. But it is well made. The Craving Jenna's version. I'm going to put that here. I do like the single version. Or sorry, yeah, it's I said the Craving Jenna's version. It's the Craving, the single version. I like the single version better than Jenna's. For a number of reasons, and I think most people agree with that. So I don't need to get too much into why, but just production-wise, it's better. And the music video is good. It's cool, but I do feel like it spends the entire time building up to a payoff that comes right at the end, and then then the music video is over. So it gets good at the end with that payoff, and then the rest of it's kind of waiting till you get there. But it is well done. Don't really have complaints with it. So just mid B. Mid B seems fair. Midwest Indigo. I think I'd rank that above the Craving. You know what? I'm gonna move the Craving down here actually. Yeah. So whoops. Yes. No. Yeah. Okay. I think that's fair. Good music video. It's fun. It feels like a music video which they made because they wanted to do a music video for every single song off the album, and that's fine, but not one of their best. Routines in the Night, low A. Most, like I said, these will probably have to shift down. Everything will sort of have to shift down so we can get more in the C. In the D, A should not be this heavy, and S shouldn't have any more than 4, ultimately. But Routines in the Night is one of the best off of Clancy, and actually, I think I would put it above Next Semester. Not above Levitate. But yeah, I think this is fair. A fair placement. Yeah, it's not officially a lore video, but it has a ton of lore imagery in it. I really like the song. I think the video fits the song very well. This is kind of what I would have done if I was making a music video for the song Routines of the Night. I would have made a music video like that. It works very, very well with that song. So good. I'm happy with that placement. All right, Vignette. I'm gonna put this top of C. I really like Vignette. Some people don't like it as much off of the album. It's one of my favorites off of Clancy. The music video is fine. It just, in a similar fashion to the single version of The Craving, its payoff happens at the end, and I'm not really a fan of the payoff. It's funny. It's kind of like a funny joke, and that's fine. It was funny. I had a little chuckle when I saw that. But it kind of detracts from the song itself, and it also detracts from the rest of the music video that we saw for Vignette. So I was a little disappointed because of that. But it's a well-made all the videos off of Clancy are well-made production-wise. This one I just didn't really like the ending of as much. And while we're at it, I'm going to move level of concern down there and shy away here just to free up some more space. All right. The Craving Genesis version. Yeah, I think that is hands down the video I would consider to be the worst music video by 21pilots. I don't think that's going to be replaced with anything else. Clearly, in comparison to everything else we have here, this has to be the worst. If you disagree, I would be curious to know why. Let me know if you disagree, and definitely include why. Lavish. Fun video, fun song, work together well. I think I'll honestly, I think I'll put it there. I didn't quite like it as much as the single version of The Craving, but it's very well edited. That must have taken a lot of work. I have edited a video or two in my day, and that must have been kind of tedious, matching up all the words to their to the lyrics as they sung through it. Navigating. Yeah, I think mid C, unfortunately. Navigating may be my favorite song off of Clancy, if not the best song off of that album. It's one of the best. I think Paladin Strait and Overcompensate are definitely up there, as is Routines of the Night. If I had to pick just two songs off the album, it'd be Paladin Strait and Navigating. Navigating is the one which I listen to the most, at least currently. These things change all the time. And then Paladin Strait is, in my mind, just the best song off that album overall. It may not be the one which I choose to listen to the most on a daily basis or whatever, but anyway, this isn't a ranking of the songs themselves. This is just the music videos, and the music video for Navigating is one of the worst off of Clancy. Again, Craving Genesis version is the worst off of that album, worst music video, but the music video for Navigating was really not good. Yes, they were navigating, but if we're only going to get 3 videos for the Clancy trilogy of lore videos, and one of them is him walking from the end of Overcompensate to the beginning of Paladin Strait, it's a little disappointing. Snapback. Yeah, I think I'll have to put it above Navigating, but it again feels like a music video which they made because they wanted to make a music video for all the songs, and most of the music videos don't leave you with that sort of impression, but a couple of them do. And again, that's fine. I'm glad they did make music videos for every song. That's very cool, and I hope they continue to do that in the future. I know it takes a lot of work and effort on their part, which makes it even more impressive. But I wasn't a huge fan of this music video. I liked the song well enough, but I just found the music video to be a little boring. Perhaps we should reshuffle a bit as we're getting a bit overcrowded. I think I'll. What's the best way to reshuffle this? Because that that does the same thing. Perhaps I will move all of these down here. And then move these to here. There we go. So we have fewer in A, B, C are a bit more balanced, and D could probably use some. Well, I don't know what would actually go in D, so I'll leave that as is for now. Oldie Station. I like this music video quite a lot, actually. I think B tier is fine for it. I think that's a fair placement, actually. Yeah. Some people might be shocked that it goes above My Blood or Truce. And I get that, but I really liked it. I thought it brought in the comedy that 21 Pilots like to bring into their different projects quite well. It's sort of a slower, peaceful song, so having a kind of slower, more laid back music video fits it quite well. Yeah, I like it. Not much more to say, but it was good. And I think some people accuse it of being boring, and I didn't find it to be boring. Yeah, you sort of get the joke halfway through, but I actually liked that better than getting the joke at the end, which is what they did with the Craving. And the joke continues to pay off, if only a little bit, as they went through. Others Could Feeling Dumb. Great song, fun music video. Perhaps here? I think that's fair. I think we can leave it there for now. I like the song more than I like the music video, but that one is well done, and I think it's more creative visually than what they did with Backslide. Actually, no, I take that back. I think Backslide's better. They're close. They're close together. Paladin Street. Yeah, this one deserves to be in the A tier. So I'll move Next Semester down. I don't think we should have more than 6 in the A tier, ultimately. But I think 4 for the S tier is fine to have. As I think I mentioned in one of my other videos, I agree that the overuse and over-reliance on green screen for this video was a disappointment. And as we'll see with the next and final one, they seem to keep doing that. So I hope they stop as they move forward. They certainly don't need to. I do understand, if they're going to output this many music videos, that will come at a cost, and they might need to stay more local and not be able to travel to film Paladin Street somewhere on location. But I still wish they would have not CGI'd the vast majority of this video. So otherwise, if it had been filmed in a fashion similar to Jumpsuit Nico and the Niners, where they actually went on location somewhere, I would have ranked it in S tier, and it may have even beaten out some of these other ones as well. And finally, The Line. I think I will put that here. Yeah, I was not a fan of that music video. I sort of hinted at this when we were talking about Heathens, but Heathens does incorporate the footage from the Suicide Squad very well. And they sort of did do that in the music video for The Line, but the rest of the video wasn't very well done. It was a bit boring. It was very obviously green screened. Tyler looked kind of weird. And what they did with Heathens to incorporate the band into this world worked much better. I also am not as big a fan of The Line. I think Heathens is a much better done song than The Line is. The Line is good, and it has its strengths, and I enjoy listening to it. But in terms of 21 Pilots song, they've done better, and Heathens is an example of that. But overall, I think I'm pretty happy with this ranking. Maybe in a year or so, or even in a few weeks, some of these would get shuffled around a little bit and all swapped. But I think this is fair. Managed to keep it light on the S and A tiers and heavier on the B and the C. sort of the mid-range ones, and then a couple made it down into the D tier. I think you could arguably put Shy Away here at the bottom of the C instead of the top of the D, but that doesn't make that much difference. It's, relative to everything else. If you go from Nico and the Niners all the way down to the Jenna's version of the Craving, moving Shy Away up into C tier doesn't actually change its placement overall all that much. But with that being said, thank you for watching and joining me as I go through and rank all of these music videos. Be sure to let me know if you disagree with any of these rankings and why. Perhaps there's something I hadn't thought of when evaluating these against each other. And perhaps, there's something you feel very strongly about. Perhaps you do think that the Jenna's version of the Craving should be the top of S tier. And if so, I'd be curious to hear that. Don't hesitate to share an opinion like that just because you think you're an outlier. You might be surprised how many other people agree with you. And as always, don't forget to subscribe for more music commentary and reviews. See you next week.